Attachment is often mistaken for love, but love and attachment are not at all the same. The essential difference between the two is that attachment is about you, whereas love is about the other. When you love someone, you want them to be happy. When you're attached to someone, you want them to make you happy. Love is about freedom. Attachment is about possession. Love gives. Attachment seeks to get. Now, there can be both love and attachment in a relationship. There can also be attachment without love, or love without attachment. And the more attachment there is, the less room there is for love. Whereas the more there is love, the less there is attachment. And while it may be possible to love without any attachment whatsoever, the least we can do is just be aware of our attachment and not to confuse it with love. You see, what we often call love is really some combination of infatuation and attachment. When we say that we love someone, what we often mean is that we need them. We need them to make us feel loved. And wanting to be loved is not at all the same as loving. The difference is you're either giving something or you're trying to get something. And love is about giving, not trying to get. When we're trying to get something from the other, that's coming from attachment. We're attached because we see that person as a commodity. We see them as providing or potentially providing something for us. Whether it's love or validation or happiness, we see them as the source of that feeling. And so we want to hold on to that source and to secure it. We want to possess it and prevent it from going away. Love, on the other hand, is something we share with the other without requiring anything in return. Love is freely given, and it is given in such a way that it allows the other to be free. That is, we're not trying to possess them. We recognize that this other person is their own person with their own inherent freedom, and we respect that. We don't try to impose upon their freedom. To love someone means that you care about their well-being and their happiness, and you would not impose upon their happiness, which means even if they don't want to be with you, you would let them go because you want them to be happy. Attachment, on the other hand, tries to control, confine, and restrict the other to prevent them from going. And the paradox is that the more you try to control and possess the other, the more they want to get away, because everyone wants to be free. So if you try to possess someone, you're actually more likely to lose them. Whereas if you allow them their freedom, they're much more likely to stay. Allowing them the freedom to stay or go means that if they stay, it's because they made the choice to stay, not because they were forced or manipulated, not because you made it difficult for them to leave, not because you begged for them to stay, not because of guilt or pity, but because they chose of their own freedom to stay. And that is far more meaningful, to know that the other is there with you because they genuinely want to be there. The thing to understand is that people spend their lives being subjected to the control and manipulation of others, or having others impose upon them all kinds of demands and restrictions and expectations and so on. And if you're someone who respects the other and allows them to be as they are without imposing anything upon them, Spending time with you can be a great relief from all the pressures and demands that they normally experience from others. With you, they can feel relaxed and at ease. They can be authentic. They can be honest. They don't have to put on a pretense or compromise themselves in any way. They'll actually enjoy spending time with you, and the relationship will be much more intimate, and so they're much more likely to stay. But to allow the other this freedom, you have to be free. You have to be free of your own attachment. Because the fact is, your attachments keep you bound. If you feel that you need the other person in order to be happy, in order to feel worthy and loved, you aren't free. If you can't be content to be alone, you aren't free. You're a prisoner of your attachments. They keep you bound up and constricted. They create all kinds of suffering. And unless you're free, you won't want others to be free. You'll want them to join you in your prison because you're trapped. And the only way to engage with another person, to have a relationship of any kind, is to get them to join you in your prison because you can't leave. But of course, you can actually leave because the prison is just an illusion created by your own false beliefs. But until you see that, you remain trapped. So if you want to love in a way that is true and authentic, in a way that is unrestricted, you have to be unrestricted by attachment. You have to get free of those attachments. And to do that, you have to recognize that love which is already there in you, that has been covered over by all kinds of false beliefs. As the Sufi poet Rumi says, your task is not to seek for love, but to merely seek and find all the barriers within yourself that you have built against it. For love to flow from you, you have to dissolve those barriers. Otherwise, you go on being a beggar for love. You're like a beggar who is sitting on a box filled with money, and you don't even know it. You live in poverty, not realizing that you're actually rich. You live on the scraps of others while there is a great wealth of treasure within you that remains undiscovered. But somehow you've come to believe that love is scarce, that love is something which is missing in you, something that you have to seek out and acquire from someone else. And this is why you're so desperate to be loved by someone. This is why you so desperately cling to others, because you don't even know that you have a wealth of love already within you. And you don't know it because it's covered up by these false beliefs. The belief that you aren't lovable or worthy, or some other sense of not being enough. And you've mistaken these beliefs to be facts, which is why you never bother to challenge them. You simply assume them to be true, and what you assume to be true, you never question. So it takes a certain degree of suspicion to begin questioning the validity of such beliefs. And until you do, they stand in the way of love, like a cloud obscuring the sun. So this is what I want to encourage in you, that you begin to challenge those beliefs. Or perhaps you might explore how you came to hold those beliefs in the first place. Perhaps it was due to some misperception or assumption, or due to your conditioning. Or perhaps someone told you that you're unworthy, and you believed it without question. So I want to plant in your mind the seed of doubt in regard to those beliefs. That you begin to suspect that maybe they're not true. so that you have the curiosity to investigate and find out what is actually true and what is merely a belief, and to find out whether or not there is in fact a wealth of love already within you. Not to simply accept this as a concept or a theory, but to actually see for yourself.